Let's talk Big Ten safeties. This week we are going to tier the top 20 safeties in the Big Ten heading into the 2025 season. As it pertains to the Golden Gophers, they bring back two of the best safeties in all of college football and arguably one of the best duos in the sport with Perich and Kerry Brown both back for another season. So let's rank the top 20 safeties in the Big Ten heading into next season. Like we did last week with the linebackers video, I have, for the sake of the exercise, I gave each Big Ten team one safety in the list, and then I filled it out with the best two remaining safeties in the conference with repeat teams. So let's hop into it. Right at the top, this one is hard to argue. I have in the top tier here, these are all American talents, guys that are just a step above everyone else in the sport, and they're some of the best football players in the sport, let alone safeties. And right at the top, in my opinion, maybe the best football player in college football this season, Caleb Downs, just a tremendous safety. And if it wasn't for him, we might be talking Coy Perich best in the conference, but it's hard to argue. As much as you love Coy Perich, Caleb Downs was the best safety in college football all of last season. Just a true do-it-all guy in the back of Ohio State's defense. Began his career at Alabama, transferred to OSU last season. He's back for his junior year. Um, if there was a defensive player to win the Heisman this year, it would be him. And it's a big reason, I think, why Ohio State still has a lot of expectations in 2025. And then as for number two, the man of the hour, Coy Perich. Like I mentioned, if it weren't for Downs, he'd be number one on my list. But Caleb Downs is something special, and Coy Perich is also something special. So you might almost want to do 1A, 1B, but Downs has 2 years of production. Perich only has one. It's a big separator. Um, and, if you're the biggest Minnesota fan in the world, it's pretty easy to say Coy Perich, but on a national scale, it's Caleb Downs. But as for Perich, man, anyone who watched Gophers football last year realizes how special of a talent he is. And talents like that don't come through Minnesota often. And if he's healthy for all 12 games this year, I think he'll be in the discussion to be next to Caleb Downs on that first team All American list. And he does everything. We'll talk about it more as the offseason goes on, but what I'm most interested in is seeing how he plays on offense. It sounds like the Gophers want him to play a lot of offense, but we'll see if that impacts his performance at safety at all. But all I know is he's one of the best safeties in college football, putting him at number two on my list. And number three, rounding out the first tier, is Dylan Tiedemann, transfer from Purdue. Probably one of the best transfers in college football this offseason. Uh, Probably the third best safety in the country. In any other conference, he's probably number one on this list. It's just you have two special talents ahead of him. So maybe one of the best defenders on Oregon this year. Really talented player, and I'm excited to watch him play. And as for the next tier on this list, we have potentially elite. That means guys that are that have proven to be really good football players. But like I mentioned, that Downs, Perich, and Tiedemann tier, those are three of the best players in the sport. So this next tier is good, really freaking good safeties, but they they're one notch below the top. So at the top of that, we have Zaki Wheatley from Penn State, another guy who opted to return instead of going pro. Uh, One of the more unheralded guys on their defense. You're going to hear a lot about their defensive line, but Wheatley is a big reason why there's high expectations in Happy Valley once again. And then Rod Moore from Michigan, a really talented, I keep saying talented a lot, but I like his game. Michigan, really good defense this year. If Bryce Underwood is half of what people think he can be, they're a sleeper team. It just I don't know if I want to buy into a teenage quarterback and Sharon Moore at head coach, but they got a lot of freaking dudes on both ends of the ball. So Rod Moore is one of their best, and he's number 5 on the list. And then Kerry Brown from Minnesota, returning after a breakout redshirt freshman season. Everyone's talking Coy Perich, Coy Perich, Coy Perich. Kerry Brown is right behind him. He obviously does not have the same ceiling as Coy Perich, but I, I think Kerry Brown is a future NFL player, a future day 2 pick, maybe. And he just has all the billing of a great safety at the college level, great safety at the next level. He's a playmaker. He tackled at a really high level last year, and I think Brown and Parrish is why the Gophers defense is so unique this year because not many teams' best 2 defensive players are safeties, but that'll make everyone else's job easier, and it'll give them the opportunity to be a little more aggressive. When you have 2 guys back there that kind of clean up all your mistakes, I'm very fascinated to see how Danny Collins calls this defense. But Kerry Brown, still one of the best safeties in this conference, and if he had another logo on his helmet, I think he'd be getting a lot more buzz than he is. And then to round out the second tier here, we have Xavier Wonkpa from Iowa, a guy who was really heralded coming out of high school. I expect him to have a huge year. Might be the best defensive player on Iowa. Really big fan of his skills. And man, the top 7, those are just some really freaking good football players. And now that the only position I have left on here is cornerback, but I think safety is the deepest position in the conference. There are so many good football players in the Big Ten at this position, and the Gophers have 2 of them. But that top 7, man, those are some guys that will play on Sunday, and some guys that you're going to hear a lot this season. So, in the next tier, we have intriguing transfers. I got 6 players in this tier. There are a lot of really good transfers in this conference. Lewis Moore from Indiana transferred in from Ole Miss. I believe he began his career in Indiana, but a really interesting player in that back end of the IU defense. Bishop Fitzgerald at USC, I got at number 9. Another really talented player, Jet Elad at Rutgers, rounding out the top 10. I believe he played at UNLV last season. But yes, he did. Rutgers is a very interesting team because they made a lot of sneaky portal additions. I've talked about Northwestern a couple times, but that if there's a game that Gophers fans they look at the schedule and they're just chucking out dub dub dub, that Rutgers game is the one that people are overlooking too much. We saw Rutgers take down Minnesota last year, but Rutgers got a lot of interesting pieces. Another year of Ethan Kaliakmanis, whatever your opinion is on him, still has all the skills to be a great quarterback, and he's only getting better. So that'll be a game, first Big Ten home game of the year, that the Gophers cannot overlook. But they are coming out of a bye, so that'll be big. I believe they are. But that's one that I'm circling. If they win that game, then you go to Ohio State 4-0. Things open up a little bit. You got some confidence. But that Rutgers game is such a big one on their schedule. I'll talk about it more this offseason, but that is a ginormous game early in the year. At number 11, kind of forgot we were talking about safeties, but we got TJ Metcalf transferred in from Arkansas. Should be a great duo next to Rod Moore at Michigan this year. And then Crew Wakely at Purdue, transferred in from BYU. Very underrated guy. Not many people are talking about him, but a solid Tiedemann replacement for the Boilermakers. Kind of, are not very good across the board, but I like that Wakely addition. And then lastly, Keith Stewart at UCLA, rounding out the tier of great transfers, or intriguing, I should say. And then this last tier are just solid players that have produced at a Big Ten level, and they're good starters, and these teams are comfortable with them as their starters. But they might not have as high of a ceiling as some guys above them. Like I mentioned, the top seven are just some dudes, and then with the transfers, obviously, it's always hard to project how well they transition. But top of those lists, Malik Spencer from Michigan State, followed by Deshaun Singleton from Nebraska, and we got Matthew Bailey from Illinois. Again, Illinois is going to be a team that I'm lower on than most. A lot of people say Big Ten or college football playoff sleeper. I like Minnesota's roster more. I'm gonna be honest. Not a big Luke Altmaier guy. Their defense doesn't have anybody who like jumps off the table. I forget the name of their defensive end already. I should be better at this, but he's really freaking good. But they don't really have anyone else that I'm like, man, that guy's special. And the Gophers have a few of those with Perich, Kerry Brown, and Anthony Smith. But next on the list, we have Jalen Husky from Maryland, followed by Damon Walters from Northwestern. Ooh, I messed that up. Maryland's a team, man. They're just in a weird spot as an athletic department, but that's a discussion for a different day. And then this is Preston Zachman. I don't know where I got the Matthew from. At Wisconsin, underrated guy. They made some interesting portal pickups. They had that guy from Bethel and a Richmond transfer, but Wisconsin's in an interesting place too. And then last, we got Mikel Easton from Washington. So that's the top 20 safeties in the Big Ten, tiered by yours truly. I appreciate you guys for listening to this video. Like I said, this doing this video is what excites me most about the Gophers team. Safety, best position on the roster. Kerry Brown and Perich will both play in the NFL. Perich, one of the best football players in the country. Really talented group here, though. If you're a fan of the Big Ten, like these are the guys you're gonna remember all year. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. And next week, I think we'll round out this series with the cornerback tiers for the final positional one. Might do a coaches one. Everyone always loves to talk about that. Might do that. We'll see. But I appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It'll help us get found. And then keep an eye out for any other Minnesota sports coverage. We got Timberwolves on SI, Gophers, Twins, and Vikings. Plenty of Wolves off-season news. So until next time.